Hey Mum, so coming to China tomorrow? Excellent. Did you watch our video on AliPay for foreigners and how to top up your AliPay account? Fantastic. So you ready to go? Good. And you know how to use AliPay? You don't know how to use AliPay? Give me 5 minutes, I'll explain. Roll the intro. Hello everybody and welcome back to the LTL Mandarin School YouTube channel with myself Max from the marketing team. This week I want to teach you how to use the AliPay app. Now first and foremost I just wanted to mention our video from last week, AliPay for foreigners, which was designed at showing you how to top up your AliPay account, meaning you don't actually need to bring cash to China when you come here, which is hugely important, especially if you're short term here in China and you don't need to open a bank account. That was from last week. This week now I want to show you how to use the AliPay app. It's not just about paying for things, it's so much more useful than that. There's many small apps inside of the app that is AliPay, and I want to go through just some of them with you right now. So when you've downloaded AliPay, set up your phone number with it and opened up the app, you'll first be faced with a blue bar across the top of the screen. Now this blue bar allows you generally to pay for things and receive money, so we're just going to go through them quickly one by one. The first option at the top left will probably be one of the most used things that you use actually in AliPay, which is called scan. So for example, when you're going to the till, having bought some water for example from 7-Eleven or to the supermarket, and you're faced with a QR code to pay for your goods, you just hit the scan button and then you just scan the QR code and hey presto, everything's paid for, no problem, easy as that. A useful phrase to listen out for when you're at the till is sao. Sao means to scan, and what you'll find is the cashier will generally say 我扫你, which means I will scan you, or 你扫我, which means you scan me. So in the first instance they would say 你扫我, which means you will scan them with your phone. That moves us nicely onto the option next to scan, which is called pay. The feature and function is exactly the same, but rather than you scanning them, they will scan you. So you just hit the pay button and you'll receive a QR code on your screen right there, and then you just hold it out like this, they will scan you and the transaction will pop up on your phone. Again, within seconds, it's done, no problem. The third feature is called collect. Now this is generally used between friends. Let's say you've gone for a coffee, 3 of you, or gone for some food, and one of you has paid the bill on your phone. You can just collect money from other people. So you quite simply open the collect button and you can actually specify an amount on the phone if you wish to, set the amount that each friend owes you, and then you just hold out your QR code, they will scan you, pay, and hey presto, everything is done. So under the blue bar you'll see 12 buttons. These are your favourite apps which you set in AliPay, and you can customise these per person, so it will be different for everyone. You'll have 11 apps across the top, and then the 12th option on the bottom right will be more. This will open up all the other mini apps inside of AliPay, which are broken down into category. So firstly, I'm going to go through some of my favourites, which may well become some of your favourites as well. These are probably some of the most used ones. And the first one I'd like to go through with you is called Utilities. This is a fantastic way to pay all your bills at home just like that. There's no paperwork, there's no formalities. It's simply a case of going into the app, selecting the bill that you wish to pay for, and then paying it very simply. So for example, on my screen you can see that I have 2 options at the top. One is called shui fei, which means water bill, and the second one is dian fei, which is electric bill. I simply select the one I wish to, select the amount I wish to pay or the amount I'm owed. It depends on what bill you're paying. So for example, with my water bill, I'm given a set amount I need to pay, whereas with my electric bill, I can choose how much I top up each time. I pay, and then I ask my housemates to split the bill with me using the other AliPay function, and you're done. They're the 2 I use. There's other options as well. You can do heating and broadband, everything. All your home bills can be paid within AliPay, and it can be done genuinely within 1 minute. It's that simple. The second mini app inside of AliPay I want to show you is actually not so much of a mini app, it's a huge app and it's called Didi Taxi. Now Didi Taxi is actually its own app that you can also download from the App Store, but what we found recently is that in some app stores from some countries it's not available, or if it is, it's only available in Chinese, which beginners do find quite intimidating. So you can also use the AliPay Didi option, play with your language settings. You should be able to change the language. Again, it depends on each phone. Some will, some won't. But basically, Didi is China's Uber. In fact, Didi bought out Uber a couple of years ago. And because of that, it's one of the biggest companies and one of the biggest taxi apps in the world. So with Didi, you simply open the mini app and you're faced with your current location and where you'd like to go. With your current location, again, you can edit the pin just to make sure it's exactly where you are, and then you select where you want to go. So in this example here, I'm going to go to Beijing Chengdu Guojijicheng T3, which is the Beijing International Airport Terminal 3. I just click that, and then I'm given price options. There's 3 different options, but you also have further options across the top. You'll notice I'm scrolling across here, the different options. Generally, this is just, let's say, the quality of taxi. So the first one is called Kuaiche and the second one is Chuzulche. Chuzulche means taxi and Kuaiche is, let's say, the standard Didi option. You can also go for the more posh option, which is called Zhuanche, which is generally more expensive, but the car is generally slightly nicer, leather seating. You also get free water, and the guys generally dress up in suits for you as well, which is great. There's a number of other options as well, but generally you'll probably just stick with the Kuaiche and the Zhuanche options, or Chuzulche. Pick the one you want, select the price, and you're good to go. The next mini app inside of AliPay I want to show you is called Tour Pass. Now this is one we actually showed you last week in our AliPay for Foreigners blog. This was where we showed you how to link your bank card to AliPay, meaning you actually don't need to bring cash to China, which is super, super useful. So with Tour Pass, you simply open up the mini app. You can link your card if you're using it for the first time. Any foreign cards are accepted, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, etc. And you can take up to 2,000 CNY, which is roughly 285 USD at the time of recording. And you can top this up very simply, and then you have your 2,000 quite good to go. And again, just like before, what you can do, you can open up your QR code and just pay at the till as you would before. Very easy, and you even get your balance on the screen there to show you how much you've got left. I'm running a bit low, so I need to top mine up myself. The next option I'd like to show you is a really, really useful one for travelling around China. It's called Air and Rail. Quite self-explanatory, flight tickets, train tickets, but you can also actually book hotels in here as well. Everything is in Chinese, so it will be good practice for your Chinese, but once you get familiar with some of the main city names, let's say Beijing to Shanghai, you'll probably learn quite early on. And then you discover the dates, which are very easy because they're all numbered. It's generally not too difficult, although I probably would recommend having someone with a good Chinese level or a Chinese speaker there to help you when you first use it. Generally prices on here are quite cheap, and cheaper than maybe what you'd find on Skyscanner or Kayak if you look on those. And you can book through these quite quickly and conveniently. You can book one way or you can book return, choose your city, and hey presto, everything is done. The next mini app inside my favourites I'd like to show you is called Movies. Again, it's very self-explanatory and very simple. Booking movie tickets from the comfort of your own home. So when you open up the Movies app, you're faced with some of the latest and greatest movies which you can scroll across. You can then book your ticket, and the great thing is it will show you the nearest cinemas to you. So I've got one just 0.4 kilometers away from me, and it will also show me the times. So I can see that the movie I've selected here is next shown at 12:25 or 4:40 PM, which is fantastic. I can book it through there. And again, it's done. It's simple as that. You get the receipt on your phone and you go straight to the movies. So now we're going to delve into the more section. So in here we've got lots of apps which we can choose from. They're all broken down into category, which I'm just quickly going to go through for you. So at the top you can see you've got the most recent ones here, which is quite obvious in the meaning. Then we've got convenient life, which is things such as traffic, which we're going to come to in a second, maybe your packages that you've ordered, etc, etc. Wealth management, which has a useful mini app called exchange rate, which again is quite obvious what it means. Fund transfer means you can transfer red packets, which are very common in China. We've also got a blog on that, Hongbao, go to it. You can send red packets to friends and family. You've then got shopping and entertainment, so you can do things like the lottery and manage your coupons, education and public welfare, and other third-party services, which include things such as Taobao, which is one of China's biggest apps where you can buy pretty much anything and everything, brands to stupid stuff you don't need that you actually really do need. And Taobao is another one that we featured in another one of our blogs, Best Chinese 12 Apps, which you should also visit because there's some really good stuff on there too. So just going back to one of those mini apps, I wanted to show you the traffic one. Now this is really, really useful, especially when you live in a city like Beijing. There's 25 million people roughly here. You can imagine the roads get particularly busy, and especially around a lot of the foreign hotspot areas such as Sanlitun and the Workers' Stadium, you find that the roads often, especially in the evenings, just hit a complete blockage. So if you're a little bit tight for time, let's say you need to get to the airport or you need to get somewhere quickly, this is a really good way of finding out the best way to get there. So when we open up traffic, you'll have your current location. I'm currently at Dawanglu, which is the LTL Beijing headquarters. And let's say again, I want to go to the Beijing International Airport as before. So we click on that and you'll see we're given a number of different options. Again, it's all in Chinese, but I'll quickly guide you through them. The first one is quite clever in the sense that it's giving you the greenest way to travel, which at the top there will say Zoe Lusa, which means the most green. This will take 1 hour and 9 minutes, but if you want to get there in the most quickest manner, which is the second option, you'll see that we can actually get there in 57 minutes using the Beijing Metro. You've also got other options below, which is Qita, which means other. That gives you other ways of getting there, and it's really, really useful for defining which is the best way. It's always really useful to check the situation on the road before you book a taxi, because getting a taxi, although it sounds like it's the quickest way to get somewhere, actually sometimes isn't in Beijing. And if you're tight for time for the airport or a meeting or something like this, it's really useful to check that. So the traffic app is something I would highly recommend you use, and it's also great to improve your Chinese as well. Just going back to another one, exchange rate, which I mentioned, it's very simple and very easy to use. But again, I'd recommend you using that. All these mini apps just help increase your Chinese level a little bit. Even if it's just learning small buzzwords, it does make a difference in the long term. So with exchange rate, we simply go in and we're given the default options here of Mei Yuan, which is USD, and Renminbi, which is Chinese Yuan. You can edit your amounts and you get given the exchange rate. So here I want to see, let's say I want to top up 2,000 Kwai for my tour pass. So I type in 2,000 and I see that this is $284.51. And then I can just close, and it's as simple as that. Another very useful one to use. Finally, if you wanted to edit your favourites, it's also really, really easy to do. You can see at the top of the more section, you've got my favourites here. And let's say I want to add the exchange rate one to my favourites. I simply just hold, click add to apps, and then it goes straight into your favourites there. Once it's in your favourites, then you just click and hold it again and click add to home. And what it will do, cleverly, it will replace the one that you use the least. So here apparently I don't watch many movies at the moment. So I click replace there, it's been added successfully, and when I go back to the home page, exchange rate here is the 5th option on the left hand side. So fully customizable, and you can pick the ones that you choose the most, and AliPay even knows which ones you don't use because it just replaced mine. So how to use AliPay? Well, now hopefully you know. AliPay is a huge app really, and there are so many mini apps inside of it. We've picked our favourite ones for you. There's loads more which you can spend time playing around with, but these are our favourite ones and probably the most used ones with foreigners here. So if you have any questions about AliPay or about money in China or booking tickets or anything related to this video, leave a comment below. Please like and subscribe to our channel, also below, if you liked the video, of course. If you've got this far, I hope so. And don't forget all the blogs that I've mentioned before, such as about Chinese apps and how to top up your AliPay account. All the links are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching this video by LTL Mandarin School. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's video.